This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
東京ドーム大会にどうぞご期待ください。
柴田勝頼の入場テーマ曲が流れました。柴田勝頼がやってくるのか、両国国技館に柴田が来るのか。柴田コールだ、大柴田コールだ。あの日からずっと待ちわびていたザ・レスラーが戻ってきた。柴田勝頼、ブルー、戦いのリングに戻ってきました。これが柴田笑った、柴田が笑った。生きてます。以上、一言、これがザ・レスラー柴田勝頼。すげえ。
is coming, motherfucker.
You're listening to Music of the Mat on the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network.
Hello, and welcome to Music of the Mat, the podcast devoted exclusively to the music of pro wrestling. It's all part of the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network. I'm your host, Andrew Rich. This is episode 139, and it's about the themes of Katsuyori Shibata. And today I'm joined by a returning guest here on the show. He is a contributor at Voices of Wrestling and the man who runs sportivprowrestling.com. It's Chris Samsa. Hello, Chris.
Hi, Andrew. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm all right. It's a beautiful Saturday afternoon here in Chicago, but I'm a touch under the weather, and that's life right now. And but I'm doing okay. I'm spinning out of it. I've had a good couple of weeks of pro wrestling activity, with yourself included, which is always a fabulous chance to see you in the real world and get together and watch some pro wrestling involving our subject of today, Katsuyori Shibata, a little bit. So, but yeah, I'm good. I'm happy to be here. Happy to be back on one of my favorite podcasts, Music of the Mat.
Well, thank you. Yeah. It's been a few years since you were on the show here, actually. But as you just said, we literally just saw each other a few weeks ago in Chicago at Forbidden Doors. So for us, it's not been that long. The sad thing is that for this show, there will not be any of your delicious barbecue to enjoy, which is a shame, but I will bravely carry on regardless, Chris.
It is a shame. I'm also not enjoying any of my delicious barbecue right now, so it's a level playing field.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, it was half the reason I went to Chicago in the first place was to enjoy your food. I mean, yeah, sure, Mox Tanahashi, United Center, whatever, but
sure, yeah.
The brisket, the burgers, the sausage, the ribs, that was a good time for sure. Now, listen, I did.
We all know the real main event in Chicago is the Samsa barbecue.
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah. Now I did get a pretty bad sunburn out of it, and the skin on my arm is still peeling off, actually. But it was worth it in the end, I think, Chris.
You are not alone in that. I was scorching the next day, actually, just from sitting outside. My feet have like a sandal tan now, from that day. So that'll probably last forever now, because that's how life works. So.
Right. I mean, look, to me, the numbers, the stats, all that bullshit, forget about it. Your true calling is the grill, okay? So, meatofprowrestling.com. I'll put that out there for you. Now, that may already be a porn site. I don't know, but just think about it, Chris. Just think about it, okay?
I think I could get somewhere with that, actually. But, I mean, what? They're doing this pizza thing with Pro Wrestling Tees, right? I could do a meat, an upper echelon meats of pro wrestling, and people love big meaty men slapping meat. So
the market's out there.
It's there. I may pivot. Screw my third G1 covering New Japan with Kevin and Chris. I'm gonna just start making meat.
Well, meat aside, let's get to the episode proper here. And that is, of course, the themes of Katsuyori Shibata, who is semi-retired, unretired, question mark. It's a bit unknown at this point, but regardless, Shibata is still one of the bigger names in New Japan. We both love him. A lot of people love him. And that's because he's just an awesome, badass wrestler with no bullshit. Just black trunks, black boots, no frills, he just kicks ass. His nickname is literally the Wrestler, for crying out loud. That sums it up right there perfectly. And I do miss him a lot as a regular roster member, having those matches with Ishii and Tanahashi and Goto and all those guys. And man, does all that feel like 50 years ago at this point, Chris? It's crazy.
I mean, I was trying to think. I was thinking through like my relationship with Shibata as I, kind of mentally prepped for this episode, and like so much of it is in the like past, and it's in the research that I've done to become, a New Japan fan, right? So little of his career was during my like live watching era, and while everything he did during that era was fabulous, including obviously his last match, which is just renowned as one of the best matches of all time, like there's so much of his career that I had to go back to. And, I think everyone does that as they get into things, and they find people that are intriguing to them. And, Shibata, he's one of those guys that I went back to even later into my fandom or coverage than say some of the first ones, right? He's a little bit of a deeper cut, and I feel like that's true for a lot of fans, where Shibata's one of the later guys they start to go back and look at, but once you do, you understand almost immediately what this man meant to New Japan and what he meant to pro wrestling as a whole, and why there are so many wrestlers that look at Shibata and say that's the guy I want to emulate, because no frills, no BS, he's the wrestler, right? And every single match that you watch of Shibata, like that's what you see, right? You see that, and he is always in that zone. And I think that's what makes him such an iconic guy once you get into him. And when it comes down to it, and we're gonna go there, right? But like that first C sharp minor chord, which is the guitar chord that plays on the current theme, once it hits, everyone knows what's going on, and that's such a great introduction to him too. So I'm excited to get to talk about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that Okada match and the injury that took him out, that was 5 years ago already. And
my God.
So much has changed in wrestling and in New Japan since then, but it still resonates and still stings what happened to Shibata, especially if you know his story of him being part of that new Three Musketeers group with Tanahashi and Nakamura when they were starting out in the early 2000s. Of course, his dad wrestled in New Japan as well for many years, but then he leaves the company in 2005, bounces around a little bit to like Big Mouth Loud and Noah, goes to MMA for many years, and then he comes back to New Japan. And not only does he have to earn back a contract, he has to earn back the respect of his peers and his elders. And it takes him years to do it, but he does. And he finally gets that big title match against Okada, and it's one of the best matches ever, and that's the match that takes him out. Which, I mean, to be clear, his wrestling style certainly led up to that brain injury and all that stuff. But still, it's an incredibly inspiring and also heartbreaking story all told, Chris.
Oh, I mean, without a doubt, it's always so painful to watch someone who's so good at doing anything have to step away from that. And you know, Shibata, every match I've watched of Shibata's is a fight. I mean, it's an actual fight. My favorite match all time is, I don't think it's uncommon to be someone's favorite match of all time, but it's Shibata and Ishii from the 2013 G1, August 4th, 2013. And it's a fight. Like, those guys were like, they were going out there and they were going to have a fight. And I'm sure there's plenty of work that goes into it, pro wrestling work, right? But that's such an iconic 12-minute match of two guys going out there, and the finish was clear of what was going to be the end of the match and how that match was going to end and where it was going to go. But everything in between was just those dudes trading blows, and including a headbutt, right? And which is I think what a lot of people would point to as potentially the demise of Shibata, but or his career at least. But I mean, that's what's so awesome about this dude is like, they fought, and maybe they knew what the end was, but I don't think they talked a lot about how they were going to get to it. And, you know, otherwise that's pro wrestling to me. That's what's so phenomenal about it, is that it can be that, and it doesn't have to be a dance. It can be a fight.
Yeah. I mean, how many times did we see that visual of Shibata just giving this crazy headbutt, and then the little trickle of blood comes down his forehead? I mean, it looks so damn cool while also being pretty stupid and dangerous, which, I mean, you talk about that being pro wrestling. That's pro wrestling. I mean, stuff that looks cool and badass, but is also dangerous and stupid. That was Shibata's whole MO in his career, and we got a lot of amazing matches and moments out of it, but in the end, that style did take its toll. I mean, it's a miracle he's even alive, to be honest, because a subdural hematoma, those are pretty bad. Those are pretty rough. Pretty bad. So the fact that he recovered it all is a blessing. And, you know, the rare moments that we've gotten with him being physical, they do feel extra special now, whether it's the Kenta turn in 2019 or the Zack grappling exhibition from last year's G1 finals, or the match with Ren Narita at Wrestle Kingdom this year, or Forbidden Door a few weeks ago. I mean, when that music hit, everyone in that suite and that building was going nuts. I mean, I was jumping up and down like a maniac when that music hit, because it's Shibata. I mean,
everyone in the building was. It was wild.
It's Shibata kicking ass, and we rarely get that these days. And to be there live for it as well. I mean, good God, it's like seeing Radiohead play Creep. It doesn't happen, Chris.
So I'll tell the story now, and if anyone who's listened to the Super J-Cast has probably already heard this story because Damon recounted it as well. But so it's the end of Orange Cassidy Will Ospreay, which was a great match. People really enjoyed it in the suite. There's a lot going on in the ring, but like in between matches, everyone kind of was like getting up and you know, checking in with everyone else who's in the suite. There's 20 people in there, so we were all kind of like making the rounds. And I think Damon had gotten up from his seat and he was, you know, grabbing a beer or a nacho or something, and that music hit, and I'm standing by my seat, which was kind of towards the back, and I turned, and Damon and I just like locked eyes, and I swear to God, like our eyes looked like Jim Carrey in The Mask, where they just like popped out of our skulls. Like we were just like, what is happening? And then, you know, the whole angle and the glasses and probably some self-awareness from Shibata there. But it was a moment, right? And like, you know, I don't know that that's necessarily where Shibata thought his career was going to go, moments, quote unquote, but I mean, anytime that music hits and anytime that man appears and does something physical, it is now a moment. And I remember talking to some of my pals who do broadcasts for New Japan about Shibata when he reappeared at the tail end of last year. And like those were those moments where like they had to just become fans, right? Because he showed up unannounced, not on the run sheet, not on anything. And those are those moments that even the people who are hardened by being a part of the show recognize that it was a big deal and it was worth standing up and taking a picture with their cell phone that they got to see this happen live. And I think that is the level that this guy is on, and for good reason. He's just an incredible performer, and he's an incredible contributor to the future of New Japan right now with the LA Dojo. But like just those now this dude is bringing us big moments in a whole different way, which I think is an interesting pivot to have to make. But I appreciate that he hasn't just disappeared.
Mm-hmm. Now, all that said, do I still want, like, I don't know, Shibata versus Shingo full contact? Absolutely. I would trade anything for that, but that's not in the cards anytime soon, I don't think. So we'll have to settle for the sunglasses, I guess, there, Chris. So
it was cute. But now if they want to go somewhere, they can go somewhere with Will too. But I hate to even speculate on what's going on, because I get the sense that he wants to wrestle. And I hope that one day that becomes okay again, both medically and, via New Japan.
Yeah, fingers crossed, absolutely. Okay, let's get to these themes here. And if you're wondering, hey, wait a minute, I don't think Shibata has that many themes, you'd be right, because we have 3 songs in the episode today. Just 3, which actually that might surprise people that he has that many, because when you think of certain wrestlers, you might think of 3 or 4 different songs. When you think of Shibata, you think of one song, and we'll get to that song, don't worry, but he said a few others before that one, including one song that I think is quite amusing, Chris, but we'll get to that one too.
I actually think the first 2 are quite amusing in their own way.
Yes. So we'll start off here with the first song, and this was Shibata's theme during his early years in New Japan before he left. He debuted in '99 in a match against fellow rookie Wataru Inoue, and on the same show as Tanahashi as well. And this first theme is by NJP Unit off the album New Japan Pro Wrestling 30th Anniversary Best Album. This is called Over the Top Rope. So this is odd for a couple reasons. Number one, Shibata not having his song is weird because he said his current theme forever. But number two, it's the type of music that he has here. Because this is like straight up old school pro theme to a T. It's upbeat, the plethora of synths, little xylophone in there too, the Legend of Zelda shing sound effects. It sounds kind of Tenzan-like, I think, and it's definitely a song of an older generation, and I don't think it necessarily reflects Shibata's attitude all that well, Chris.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I was not familiar with this song at all, and you sent me the the list and the files and all that to do some prep, and I listened to it, and I was just like, I kind of started laughing. I was like, oh, that is a song. It's very generic to the era though, so it like didn't surprise me that this existed. It's just like I never would have put this with the person and the wrestler that I know now. I don't know that I would have put this with the wrestler that I know existed then either, just based on what I imagine themes to sound like now. But I guess if I transplant myself back 20 years or so, this is the sound of pro wrestling in Japan. I mean, I couldn't pick this out of a bunch of songs that were probably themes during that time. But with that said, it's got good energy, it's got some good life, but again, like I don't know that I ever would have connected this song to Shibata if you didn't tell me that this was the case.
Yeah. I mean, if this song was around today, it would definitely feel like a major throwback. But you're right, this is 20 years ago at this point, even longer. So, yeah, in that context, it's not out of place at all. But with Shibata, I feel like even in his early years, he still had the look and the vibe of your serious, no-nonsense ass kicker. And this song, yeah, it does have energy, but it's a bit too jaunty and a bit too light of a song for someone like Shibata. Not that he's like a doom metal kind of guy, but he needs a little bit more grit to his theme, a little bit more of a harder edge to really make it fit, I think, Chris.
I imagine if he were to have been elevated even further, maybe eventually he would have gotten the kind of Nakamura treatment with a good guitar song. And I think we kind of head that direction as he goes elsewhere. But that's as he elevated, had he stuck with New Japan, I think hopefully that would have been the direction. The Nakamura, Tanahashi had those guitar songs that eventually Shibata had his own version of, but this was very much introductory. I can't imagine this song was written for Shibata. This song feels written as a theme, and it was picked out of a bundle, right? And that's I think that's probably the nature of a lot of wrestlers' first themes.
Oh yeah, we've seen plenty of times where the first theme for a guy doesn't hit the mark. I mean, you mentioned Tanahashi, Nakamura. Those are perfect examples. I mean, Tanahashi's first theme wasn't High Energy, it was a different song.
Right.
Nakamura's first theme wasn't Subconscious, it was a different song. So yeah, sometimes it does take a couple of years before a guy gets that, iconic theme song, and that was true for Shibata, So, also, this song is called Over the Top Rope, and I'm struggling to think of a time when Katsuyori Shibata did any move where he went over the top rope. I think the highest he's ever jumped is the corner drop kick. So, yeah, strange title as well there, Chris. That's for sure.
Yeah, not a lot of topes from Shibata.
No. Not many Sai moonsaults from the guy. That's for sure.
I'd love to see it.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think that's in the cards.
Not in the playbook. No. Before we move on, I do want to mention this. In 03 to 04, Shibata was part of a stable called Makai Club. And as Wikipedia says, this was a group of MMA fighters and pro wrestlers who worshipped Antonio Inoki like a god, which, I mean, pretty on the nose there, I'd say. Yep. And some of the guys, they wore masks and had numbers for names. So there was Makai number 1, Makai number 2, number 3. Shibata was Makai number 4, and he was in a team with Makai number 5, Mitsuya Nagai. And their tag theme was a song called Theme of Wonder Man, which I could not find. But the group theme, according to my research, was the theme from Blade 2. Which is this badass, dark electronica song with horns in it. It's so 2002. But listen, Blade 2, I unironically love that movie so much. So Shibata coming out of that song, it's a bit weird, but it does warm my heart, Chris. I can't lie.
I think that works. Yeah, I think that's a fine. I can kind of imagine. I don't know the song, but I can imagine the song from Blade 2, right, or anything from that era. That seems like an evolution that makes sense out of this first theme and into something like that. So, yeah, that's a nice nugget there. You are the best in the business for that.
Well, speaking of Shibata and weird combos, our next song takes us to the world of CMLL in Mexico. Shibata had a few matches there in April of 2002, known simply as Shibata, no first name. And the theme he had there is by Motley Crue. Yes, that Motley Crue. Off the album Shout at the Devil, this is Looks That Kill. So we mentioned how Over the Top Rope was kind of an odd theme, an odd vibe for Shibata. Well, quadruple that for this song. I mean, this is downright comical because we're talking about Katsuyori Shibata, black trunks, black boots, grumpy disposition, and we're talking about 83 Motley Crue. Big makeup, big hair, the leather, sunset strip, so over the top. The song's about a sexy femme fatale. Like, you could not get any more diametrically opposing things here, but that's the beauty of Lucha Libre. We get these weird-ass combos of themes and wrestlers, and in this case, it's Shibata and Motley Crue, Chris. It's amazing.
Yeah. No, I don't think Shibata was teasing his hair and doing, wearing leather pants all the time and things of the sort. So, yeah, but Shibata is a good-looking guy. So, I mean, maybe that was the impetus where they were like, good-looking man, let's get him a song that says looks that kill, right? He's a good-looking dude. He's out to kill you. Let's put them together, right? But when you really dig in, this song doesn't make a ton of sense, but it is one of Motley Crue's probably better songs of the era, so we do have that going for us. And it was something of a hit, so that's what I love about CMLL or even Ring of Honor, ECW. Anyone that uses quote-unquote licensed music, we'll say it's licensed music.
I mean,
yeah,
that's,
right.
Yeah,
unlicensed music, right? Popular music. That's some of the most fun. Those are some of the most fun little nuggets of this show, as well as just looking at music of pro wrestling. Because if you didn't watch CMLL in the early aughts, you would never know that this happened. So I can kind of see it though. I don't know. Like with just the music, not thinking about like the imagery of Motley Crue. I can see this more than the last song. So it was progress, if nothing else. Have you ever seen the music video for this song?
I don't think so. No.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's terrible in the way that it's like kind of literal, where like they've got this like group of women that they like trap in a cage because they're trying to kill or because they're too pretty or something, whatever. I don't really know exactly the lane they were trying to take, but it looks kind of like shoot, I'm blanking. What's the David Bowie movie?
Cat People? No.
No, it like has
Labyrinth,
the same kind of
right, yeah.
look as like Labyrinth, where it's like kind of like not high budget sets and things of the sort. It's worth checking out. I obviously watched it earlier today as part of my kind of poking around at this stuff, but it's not good. But that's my opinion of this song in general, is that like the song is good. It's one of Motley Crue's better songs, but the music video is just, it's really dated.
I like to picture Shibata backstage in Mexico, and they're like, "What song do you want to come out to, man?" And he pulls up the CD, track 3, baby, let's go. Because, I mean, look, you never know. He might like Motley Crue. That is a possibility there.
I should ask around to see if I can find Shibata's just like general musical tastes. I'm sure someone at the LA Dojo has a good vibe on that.
He is in LA all the time with the dojo, so I'm just saying.
Right.
I'm just saying it's a possibility.
I wonder if he's hanging out at. Of course, I'm gonna forget the name of the street that all the clubs are on in LA.
The Sunset Strip.
Sunset Strip, yes. Maybe that's Shibata's like normal haunts now.
Go into the Roxy or the Whiskey a Go Go or whatever. Yeah,
you walk into the Roxy and just Shibata's at the bar.
But I will say there is on YouTube a video of one of Shibata's matches in CMLL, and you see him make the entrance with the song. It's pretty amazing. But what's funny is that, you know, a lot of guys, when they go on excursion, they'll branch out and get a new character. You know, Grado Khan or Kamatachi or one of those things. Shibata here is still Shibata. He's the same look, same disposition, same gear. Except now he has Motley Crue for a theme. You know, it's not like he was the Japanese rocker, Motley Shib or whatever. No, nothing has changed at all. It's still just him. So that kind of makes the whole scenario even funnier, I think, Chris.
I mean, the man knows who he is. He is, he seems very self-aware but also stubborn in the sense of, I am who I am the wrestler. And I'm going to be that no matter what music's playing, no matter what the crowd's doing, no matter if I'm a good guy or a bad guy. Like he is stable in that way. And I think should be appreciated over the course of a 20+ year, presence with pro wrestling.
Mm-hmm. And the match in question was Shibata, Wataru Inoue, and Gigante Singh, a.k.a. the Great Khali, versus Dr. Wagner Jr., Shocker, and Gigante Silva, a.k.a. Giant Silva from the Oddities. Now that's a match right there. That's a never 6-man title match for the ages, Chris.
What a group of pro wrestlers. That is, you have to send that to me, because that is awesome.
The quality isn't that great because it's a VHS rip and it does kind of conk out at times with the static, but just on paper it's a sight to behold, that's for sure. So the third and final theme of the episode here is the song that Shibata has had for the bulk of his career, from Big Mouth Loud to Noah, and coming back to New Japan in 2012 with the Laughter 7 tag team with Sakuraba. This is the one that Shibata is known for. It's never been officially released, so the best we have are fan uploads on YouTube that are as clean as possible. This is by Low IQ 01, and the song is called Takeover. this is more like it. This is like putting on a nice old coat, a coat filled with headbutts and forearms. This song is so great. The intro alone with that simple guitar melody and the light percussion, it's a real calm before the storm moment before it all kicks off with the frenzy of shredding guitars. It fits him so well because Shibata doesn't come out all snarling and big energy, I'm gonna kill ya. No, he just walks out with a towel, all calm, all serious business, stern look on his face, and then the bell rings and it's go time. It's a perfect theme, Chris.
It's perfect. It is a perfect pro wrestling theme, not only in the sense that it fits the wrestler, being Shibata, but it also it has the right timing and the right pacing, where it builds to that moment where potentially that's where Shibata comes out of the tunnel, or that's where he hits the ring, right? Like, it has to have that timing, right? But the best thing, and arguably one of the most important things about a pro wrestling theme is kind of, I guess, what you might call the stinger, right? Right at the beginning, the coins dropping for Okada, the guitar riff for Shibata, right? No more than 2 seconds in, you know exactly what's happening. And I think that became so iconic and so attached to Shibata that years later, even though we hardly ever hear it, when we hear it, our brains, of anyone who's paid attention over the last 15 years or so, knows exactly who's going to come out of that tunnel or that down that ramp. So it truly is one of the most perfect themes in that way, and this does kind of come from an era when New Japan, when you finally got your theme, like, it really did stick. There's a lot of great themes just like that too, where like the beginning, it starts a little slow and then it hits and then it's go time. And this song is no different, and it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect.
Yeah, all it took was those first few notes, dude, and I was up on my feet like a Pavlovian response. I was up there, and the song, it has that hard edge that a Shibata theme needs, while also retaining that important measure of simplicity as well, I think, because the song isn't that complex. There's a slow bit at the beginning, there's the fast-paced guitar stuff, and then there's the even faster bits, and that's it. That's the whole song, really. But it works for him and his style. You don't need complex arrangements or lyrics or Motley Crue or whatever. You just need to convey Shibata's whole persona and wrestling style. And this does, Chris. It does it in a very simple but effective way.
Yeah, and it's not... it's mid-tempo. It's almost lower tempo than you would expect for a lot of different theme songs, but it has that right pace, that right rhythm that just hits the spot for... You can picture him walking down the ramp. You can picture him getting into the ring. To be perfectly honest, it wouldn't surprise me if Katsuyori Shibata doesn't have any idea what his own theme song sounds like, just because he's that kind of guy that he's like, I'm gonna wrestle, no matter what you play while I walk down the ramp. I say that in jest. I'm sure he understands the importance of it, but it's in character. That dude doesn't care about his song, right? But if you play it and you put the video, I don't think the video's changed since 2014, 2013 either.
No, it's still black and white, and just throwing forearms.
Yeah, and I went back to see if I could find something earlier, I guess, than 2013, 2014, where the video package was different, and I got to the point where all the music was muted on New Japan World, or even on most of the files that I have. So couldn't even line that up. But yeah, so it's this whole image that has stuck with him for a very long time that really hits the spot. It's the right tempo, it's the right tone, right? It's a minor key mostly. But it's not this evil minor key. It's kind of more subtle, more dissonant. It really hits the spot with the type of person and wrestler that Shibata is. It's one of the best themes, I think, out there.
And that's why you're here, to say things like minor keys and dissonant and and all the stuff that my English major brain just doesn't have access to. So thank you for that.
I like to pepper in a little that I dabble in the music.
Of course.
And but today, while I was wasting time before this, I was like, I every time I hear Shibata's theme, I think like I should learn that little noodle on a guitar. And so today, as I was like sitting and waiting, to kind of kick this off, I was like, I'm gonna finally do that, and I did it, and I felt really good about it. So that's why I know exactly what chords they are. But it's not hard if you're a guitar player. It's also not hard to play, especially the beginning little intro. And I think that's kind of all anyone really needs to know. But yeah, it's worth picking up. It starts on C sharp minor, and I'll let you guys take it from there. But yeah, it's a fun little ditty. But now my brain, I can calm my brain that I've finally done the thing that I think I should do.
Mm-hmm. Well, I did want to say this. We mentioned Tanahashi Nakamura earlier. I think this song works as a great contrast with both of those guys and their themes, because Tanahashi, he has these super bombastic, over-the-top guitar songs, high energy, love and energy, go ace, like the most heroic songs ever. Shibata, he's got more of the straightforward, punky, ass-kicker songs. And Nakamura, too, Subconscious is this really cool, really suave, slunky theme. And Takeover, that has the slower intro, too, but this song is way more blunt and crazy in the main part. So it's cool how, each of these three guys had their own rock songs that are, uniquely flavored and tied to their characters and their personas, Chris.
Yeah, this one's not one that Shibata's theme. This one is not one that you would, as a guitar player, like shred on, right? But it has this feel it is rock, right? And it is a guitar song, so it does still kind of fit with the vibe. But you're right, it is more on the kind of simple but meaningful. Everything that happens in this song has meaning, and that's the goal of a great song, especially an instrumental. Everything that happens adds to the feel. Nothing takes away from it. And you could say that about Nakamura and Tanahashi, but there's definitely different things highlighted in all three of those guys' songs as you kind of go back and you look at it, and of course our brains connect things together that are seemingly disparate, like a person and a song, right? But all of those songs, these guys, I don't know, it is kind of a chicken or the egg thing, like which came first, the song and the activity around the song, or the wrestler, right? Like, was this written because of Shibata? And this feels like a song that was written for the man that we got to know, and the wrestler that we got to see in Katsuyori Shibata.
Whoa, that's heavy stuff, man. Whoa. I did want to say this, too. I do think it's very weird that this song has never been officially released, like, anywhere. Because
I find that strange, yeah.
Yeah, because there have been like a million New Japan albums, and Low IQ 1 is a legit artist who has put out albums himself, but not this song. We got Over the Top Rope on an album, but not this. It's very weird, Chris, I think.
Now, and this is not released as a song by Low IQ 01 anywhere?
No.
Yeah, that's what's so fascinating. Like Kenta's theme now, right? That's
that's out there. Yeah, that's a real song that's been put out. Right? Yeah.
But like, so it is kind of one of those things of like, where did this song come from? And it's by an artist that has officially released music. Like, it is kind of a strange thing that this. I wonder who owns the rights to this song, I guess, is what I'm kind of getting at. Is like, is it the band? Is it Big Mouth Loud or Noah, or like some entity that is just licensing it for now? Why is this particular song cut off of a lot of early streams and tapes? It is kind of that's the type of stuff that I like to look into too. So maybe I'll do some Googling and see if I can figure it out. But yeah, that's and it being such an iconic theme now, I wonder if we will see it on one of the upcoming releases. But I'd imagine we'd want to see Shibata a little more active before that happens.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think we can safely assume that it was written for him because this is legitimately the only place where this song's been used or featured at all. So yeah, and if you remember as well, the tag team with Shibata and Kenta in Noah was called The Takeover. So yeah, connect the dots right there. But yeah, it is weird that this song is like, what, over 15 years old at this point and still has not gotten the official release yet. But hey, maybe one day. Who knows? But all right, well, that's going to do it for this episode of Music of the Mat. Thank you so much for listening. And Chris, thank you so much for being here. A pretty light episode this time around, but still a lot of fun. So thank you.
Absolutely. Anytime. I appreciate you having me on.
Of course, yeah. Any plugs you want to give? Go right ahead.
Oh, well, you can find me on Twitter at the Chris Samsa. SporterProWrestling.com will have plenty of G1 activity coming up, or you can find me over at Voices of Wrestling, among other miscellaneous places around the internet.
I eagerly await the 10,000 shoutouts that Kevin Kelly will give you on the upcoming G1 tour, because they're coming. So
I think it's just one a show usually, but yes, they're getting to the point of being embarrassing. But hey, listen, it's a thrill every time.
I mean, I've gotten a couple of shout-outs myself over the years,
not
to brag or anything, but, it's happened.
You got a big one, right? Wasn't it it was
Wrestle Kingdom this year,
Wrestle Kingdom, right, yeah.
Not too shabby.
I actually think that may have been a show that I didn't get one, so...
Oh, really?
Good on you.
Wow, look at that. Not that you're counting, of course. Let's be clear about that. Of course, who would do such a thing? Yes,
how could you?
But anyway, Music of the Mat is, of course, part of the Voices of Wrestling podcast network. You can find all the great podcasts on there at voicesofwrestling.com. Follow the show on Twitter at Music of the Mat. Follow me on Twitter at Andrew T. Rich. Voicesofwrestling.com/Discord for all discussions and comments. Voicesofwrestling.com/donate. For any donations, just click the big donate button beneath the name Music of the Mat. If you donate, hey, thanks so much. You're awesome. Rate, review, subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and many other places. And one more thing here. Former guest Benno and Martin Bushby are doing a 24-hour charity live stream on Saturday, July 16th, which is the Saturday after this episode drops. I'll be on that. At 11 a.m. Eastern. That's Saturday. Talking about, what else? Wrestling music. So, Benno and Martin, they are raising money for the Children's Heart Surgery Fund. So it's a great cause. And I'll post a link to that on Twitter, both my Twitter and the show's Twitter. So, again, this Saturday, July 16th, I'll be there at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And I also know that Jojo Remy and Neil David, current VOW contributors and former guests, they'll be on the stream at some point too. So we will carry the VOW banner proudly. It's going to be a lot of fun, and it's for a great cause, as I said. So, all that said, Chris, thank you again, and I'll see you around.
Thanks, Andrew.
All right, for Chris Samsa, I'm Andrew Rich, and I'll see you next time on Music of the Mat. Take care, guys.
Music of the Mat is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. The songs used throughout this show are property of their respective copyright holders.